Okay, I believe we are live. Sounds good. We'll go ahead and get started. Just bring up my slide deck here. Okay, welcome everyone to our bi-weekly or sometimes monthly session on Large Language Models Bootcamp. And the intent here is to give you an idea what is the overall, what are the goals, what is the general the curriculum and what is the teaching philosophy, and really answer any other questions, any questions that you may have about the bootcamp. My name is Raja Iqbal. I am the chief data scientist and one of the instructors at Data Science Dojo, and I'm also involved in teaching the Large Language Models Bootcamp. Um, one of the one of the earliest boot camps in industry when it comes to machine learning and data science. We have been around for quite some time. Um, 11,000 plus graduates from all over the world, many companies. We have done enterprise trainings in any area imaginable in analytics and machine learning space. But in terms of bootcamp, we have two distinct products. We have a data science bootcamp that we have been offering for many years, and then this large language models bootcamp that we started in 2023. And this bootcamp is actually we are the first bootcamp in the world when it comes to large language models, and we are the most comprehensive bootcamp. There are great courses out there but on various aspects of building language model applications. But what the LLM bootcamp that we are doing is we are covering the entire spectrum of techniques end to end, starting from talk about embeddings, talk about vector databases, talk about semantic search, talk about LangChain, all the components of LangChain, talk about agentic frameworks or the agentic applications, guardrails, fine tuning, and LLM ops. So we cover all the entire spectrum of an LLM application, and whatever an enterprise application the thinking process, the business aspects of it, and so on. So we cover a lot of different areas, and our teaching philosophy is that we are not going to only go into the theory and the math side of it, but we will also talk about the implementation and practical aspects of it. And not just that, we will also talk about the business and organizational, cultural, and more operational challenges of building such an application. Um, and the genesis of the bootcamp is in our own one of our own endeavors. We started with building an LLM product. Right now, we have an LLM platform that we built, and once we started building it, and now we have, by the way, for that LLM product, we have or the platform, we have 8 enterprise customers. We have some of the big names in industry that are using our product. And then over the period of time, as we started building these products, we realized that building LLM applications is not trivial. Yes, you can build an LLM application, so-called RAG application, on a single page PDF or a few pages of PDF with an vector database that's a tiny vector database that you have in memory. But when you try to deploy an application like this in a real world setting, there are actually a lot of moving parts. The first and foremost thing that you have to worry about is really the scalability of such an application. How do you deploy it in a scalable manner? Because when you have an application like this, you are not going to have one page PDF or maybe a few pages of a single file of PDF, or maybe just 100 files or 200 files. I mean, you're looking at maybe tens of thousands of documents. Then being able to keep the token usage and costs under control. The prompts are brittle. Any smallest change in prompt can actually cause a lot of variation in your responses. Evaluation is a big area. And hallucination, how do you control hallucination? How do you control jailbreaking attempt? How do you control any toxicity in responses or toxicity in prompts? How do you deal with inference latency? How do you deal with data governance or AI governance challenges? So all those things, when we consider all of this at the same time, you realize that building an LLM application at an enterprise level and productionizing it, it is actually it is very difficult business. And what we did is we put together this boot camp where we actually cover all the different aspects of what you would need while building an application. And I would like to actually think that every single aspect of building an enterprise application, it is actually covered or touched upon with some practical experience during the entire bootcamp. So we cover open source and closed source model, hosted versions. You deploy them yourself. Sometimes you fine tune and deploy them. That is covered during the bootcamp. Then vector databases, the lightweight vector database, or somewhat of more of a proper production grade enterprise vector databases. We talk about them. Different kind of embedding models, understand why you would need an embedding model or why would you need a vector database. Then also using different frameworks for building applications like LangChain, most notably. We spent quite a bit of time on them. Then thinking of or considering issues like semantic caching or LLM caching, logging and monitoring, putting guardrails, deploying an application, and operationalizing it. We talk about all different aspects of it, and I'm going to go through all of these one by one. This is roughly the technology stack that we use. We mainly use OpenAI, and we do have Llama 2 model that we fine tune and deploy as well. Then for vector databases, primarily we are looking at VV8. We actually talk about vector database and VV8 as our LLM cache, or call it LLM application building frameworks. I mean, LangChain, primary focus is LangChain. We use Arise for LLM ops and observability and monitoring, RunPod for our fine-tuning exercises. So you will see actually a good spread of different techniques, or good spread of different techniques, and what tools are available and what platforms and what frameworks and what SaaS is available to be able to handle all of this. So the curriculum is 40 hours. We have a fairly intense boot camp. When you come in, it's a 5-day boot camp. You can attend it remotely, um, or you can fly to Seattle. I mean, the next boot camp is in Seattle, or you can also attend the boot camp remotely. Actually, half of the attendees, they attend from all over the world. Let me see. Maybe there is a question here. Okay, I will address questions perhaps at the end. Okay. Now, so you have we cover, as I said, we cover the entire ecosystem, most of the mainstream libraries, the concepts and tools, all of them are actually covered during the bootcamp. And then at the end of the bootcamp, uh, we have a project on the fifth day, right? So you Monday through Friday, you start at 8:39 ish in the morning, and then go all the way to 5 every day. And then and in the second half of the last day of the boot camp, we ask everyone to actually implement their own LLM application that they will build, and based on all the learning that they had in the first 4.5 days of the bootcamp. We also are partnering with the University of New Mexico for for delivering this training. They are our accreditation partner. And what that means is many employers, they will actually reimburse your participation or your registration as part of their benefits program. Because we are backed by, certified by the University of New Mexico continuing education. As a result of that, very likely many employers actually would cover our participation in any of our trainings as part of their benefits program. Or just like you have a healthcare or dental, medical, vision. So your tuition is part of your benefits, and many companies actually cover our training. And we have these bootcamp partners who actually are actively involved. For the next upcoming bootcamp, we have these partners in the ecosystem in different areas. Uh, what do you need to have? Sometimes people, what kind of hardware do I need? GPUs? Do I need to have a certain minimum amount of memory in my laptop, my hard drive requirement, my CPU requirement? You don't have to worry about anything. We actually, when you attend the boot camp, you basically we have online sandboxes. Any GPUs that need, that cost is covered. Of course, during the bootcamp, that cost is covered in your registration fee. And we have dedicated Jupyter notebooks where, I mean, vector databases, LangChain, and all those exercises, you can actually use them even after the bootcamp is finished. We also give you an API key for using the LLMs. We give you the OpenAI API keys. So you do not have to worry about it. Your bootcamp registration covers everything. So I will go over the curriculum a little bit. Let me actually go and show you what we have. So when you come to the training, when you arrive at the training, the first few hours, we spend the first few hours in giving you the lay of the land, the general end-to-end overall ecosystem. What is, why embeddings, and why do you need embeddings, and why vector databases, and how do you search things in a vector database? What is an LLM, and what is prompt engineering, and then go to why do you need guardrails and all the challenges. So give you a good amount of breadth. And then we dive into this session on attention mechanism and transformer architecture. Very, very detailed, actually, very detailed session on attention mechanism, transformers, encoder, decoder architecture, how does attention work? And Luis Serrano is the person who teaches this section. And then we move on to vector databases. Once we have understood the attention mechanism and embeddings and how they work, then we go to vector databases. And in vector databases, we actually will have a very detailed discussion on, well, what is a vector database? Why do you need a vector database? Let me actually go here. So we will go through the entire the foundation of why a vector database, and how vector DBs work, and what kind of searches are possible. There is semantic search, there is hybrid search, there's keyword search, and then uh, how are indexes optimized, what are the scaling and productionizing challenges, and so on. And if you look at this, it is actually a very, very detailed session. A lot of details around what does a SQL query look like? What does a vector query look like? And then if you look at this, we are slowly, gradually, surely building this application. Start with vector searches, then keyword searches, hybrid searches. How do you introduce your traditional filtering approach if you're coming from your traditional database background? Uh, so how do you do that? And then slowly, gradually, we go and build these things. What kind of searches are possible? What is HNSW? How do we search among those tens or possibly hundreds of millions, if not billions of embeddings? How do you search that embedding in tens of milliseconds, right? So fascinating stuff. So we talk about all of that in theory, very detailed understanding of theory, but that's not it. We also then go to the practice side of it. So we start with simple vector search, then we'll go to similarity search, hybrid search, and let me click on one of these notebooks, and then you can see that you know everything is already included here. Let me see. I could not load it. Let me just load a different notebook. Okay. So if you look at this, now what we will do is thanks to VV8, you will just go and create. VV8 is a partner, one of the leading vector databases in this in LLM space, an AI first or AI native vector database. So we'll go and deploy a VV8 server. Everyone gets to deploy their own VV8 server. Then you actually create your own collection. And then if you look at this, we go through these exercises. You insert your VV8 URL, API key. So we go through this, the whole experience of what would a hands-on person do when they are actually deploying an LLM application. So um, uh, if you're building a RAG application, you will need a vector database. So walk you through the entire process. The good thing is that you do not have to write this code from scratch. The code is already there. You click and go there, and you bring it up. If you look at this now, this is an example of a generative search. So if you look at this, once again, you have the VV8 URL. You go and look at the vector database URL, put in the API key, go through all of this, and then really understand how a vector database actually works. In this case, I'm creating a collection, importing the data, and then running some generative queries, and so on. So we run, what does this query do? Next, run, what does this query do? We go around, modify the queries, modify things here and there, and it works very well. A common question at this point is, hey, I'm not a hardcore developer. Can I do it? If you notice, these code samples are vetted out, tested in advance. So you do not have to be a hardcore developer to be able to run these code samples. So you should be able to get by very easily. But if you're a technical product manager, I mean, this is a course for you because you need to know some of these things to be able to guide LLM products. But if you are not, if you are more on the dev side, of course, you will be able to modify the code and deploy things on your own. So it depends upon what objective you're coming with. As long as you're able to read code and execute, run, you run this code, hit run here, run. As long as you are able to understand what is going on, that's all what is needed. So once we have done vector databases, we spend actually a lot of time on LangChain. Let me go back here. We spend a lot of time on LangChain. If you look at this, LangChain for LLM application. So, and we talk about the entire LangChain stack, the entire framework. Start with model I/O. How do you hook up an OpenAI model to your application? How do you hook up a Llama 2 model? How do you define prompt templates? We talk about that. How do you hook up? A Dropbox? How do you hook up a SharePoint? How do you scrape a website? Then how do you chunk? And how do you chunk with using different techniques? How do you enable a model to have history so it is able to retain the context of the conversation? How do you build agents? And then if you look at this, we also go through LangGraph. If you look at this, so LangGraph is there, and So we actually go through all of these exercises. Maybe I can launch something here. If you look at this, we have a conversation buffer memory and so on. So um, let me actually, we have migrated to a new learning platform here. So let me actually go there. I was using the old one. Let me go and inside I will go to here. If I go here and I will go to LangChain. Where is LangChain? Right here. So if I go inside LangChain, then we have this. If I go inside this, for instance, if I go to agents, you can see I have agents and tools, RAG agents with LangGraph. So when I click on this, it will open up the LangGraph notebook. We will talk you through the entire how do you manage states in LangGraph and all of that, right? So, and different kind of paradigms in LangGraph. So we go through all of that in a lot of detail. Then we spend quite a bit of time on, you can see semantic search is there, advanced RAG is there. We discuss a lot of operationalization or productionization issues. When you deploy RAG, there are going to be some challenges that may not appear very obvious to you when you have not deployed an application in enterprise. We talk about prompt engineering, some fundamentals there as well. We spend quite a bit of time on fine-tuning a model. We go through the entire idea of fine tuning. What is transfer learning? How is it different from fine tuning? How is it different from distillation? As DeepSeek actually popularized that term. But it is not something that is unknown. DeepSeek actually made it popular. So we talk about distillation. How is it different from fine tuning? And then we talk about issues around um, optimization, right? So we talk about quantization and low rank adaptation. We talk about it, QLoRa, and then we talk about some of the challenges. What could be the challenges in fine tuning, like catastrophic forgetting, and other things. Uh, and then we actually go ahead and deploy. I'm sorry, let me take it back. So we launch a cluster in a GPU cluster on demand. And then we have some instructions where you upload your Llama 2 model, up to 7 billion 4-bit quantized Llama 2 model. Then you fine tune it, you ask it some questions, and then we discuss, is that really a good model or not? And what kind of settings should we, what kind of adjustments should we make in for us to be able to get a better model. Then we also talk about observability, right? So this session is led by John Gulhili from Arise. We talk about observability. Why is observability important? We talk about guardrails. Guardrails are very, very important. What if your data has some sensitive PII information? What if someone can jailbreak your models, and so on? So we talk about those. Um, then we have evaluation, and so everything that I'm talking about, it has practical exercises. I will go and actually show you maybe for evaluation. So for evaluation, we talk about we start with your standard language translation type metrics, your Blue score and Rouge score and Meteor. We talk about those, and then we build this momentum to actually build this understanding. What are the limitations of some of these approaches? And we take this to Ragus, and Ragus is more modern um, and more LLM RAG type evaluation approach. We talk about why do you need something that is more dedicated to a rack system as opposed to just evaluating a single LLM. We talk about different kind of benchmark data sets, when to use what kind of tasks are possible, and what kind of metrics you will be using. Um, we also talk about, let me see, we also talk about deploying a fine-tuned model of your own in more of a containerized or more serverless setting. We talk about that. Sage actually leads this session. And then finally, once all said and done, we go for deploying our own custom LLM application. We give you some boilerplate code. We get started, walk through the code sample, and then we go through all the exercises and or all the exercises, modify the project, and then we push it to GitHub, and from GitHub to Streamlit, and we basically show an end-to-end application. And then everyone gets more exercises where, depending upon their level of coding skills, we everyone gets to really, I mean, it depends upon how far you want to take it. If you're a developer, you will take it very far. If you are not a developer, you still have a very good understanding of the entire end-to-end process. So let me go back to our slide deck here. So understanding the LLM ecosystem, that's the first module. Then we talk about the challenges and risks. What are the things that are that can go wrong when deploying an LLM application. Then we talk about embeddings, attention mechanism, and transformers. Then we have vector databases. We talk about vector DBs in a lot of detail. We talk about semantic search. We talk about prompt engineering, fine-tuning, LangChain in a lot of detail. We spent about like good 8+ hours just on LangChain and agentic frameworks, agentic systems, multi-agent applications, guardrails and monitoring. Advanced RAG, we talk about some of the challenges that you will run into advanced RAG while building a non-trivial RAG system in an enterprise, then LLM evaluation. Uh, and then finally, project. So these are some of the instructors. Likely for the next Seattle bootcamp, I will be there. Luis will be there. Adam is going to be there. John will be there. Sebastian is going to be there, and Sage, hopefully Sophie is going to be there. So it's a mix of instructors where, based on availability, we will have people who may or may not be there. But I mean, this is what I told you. I mean, these are the confirmed instructors for next time, and these are our partners. I mean, so we have been partnering with many companies, and we have a stellar reputation in industry in terms of what kind of courses we offer. The distinction is that we don't focus only on technology. We do not focus only on the theoretical aspects. There is going to be practical, technical aspect as well. But more than that, we want all of our learners to be enabled. When they go back, they can undertake real world projects. So that is our approach to learning. So when we talk about vector databases, we are not going to just show you, hey, here is a vector database, this is HNSW, this is hybrid search and all of that. You will actually do exercises in all of them. And not just that, we will also we will also uh, we will also uh, give you the business context. We have our platform is actually deployed at some big companies globally, and we will tell you about the issues that we ran into, some of the product management challenges, right? So, how many guardrails to put? I mean, should I have if too many guardrails, the customer experience might get degraded. Not enough guardrails, you may run into legal risks and compliance risks, right? So, how do you actually balance those trade-offs? Some of the architectural and other challenges. How do you ensure that How do you ensure that your application is going to scale? How do you design a good user experience? How do you manage customer expectations? There are so many challenges that you will run into when building an LLM application. So we are going to talk about all of those challenges. Our next boot camp is happening from April 7th to 11th. You can register for the boot camp in two formats. One is in Seattle, where you have, of course, you will be physically here. And then the other format is that you are located wherever you are. And we have had attendees from all over the world, even in different, very different time zones. We have had people all the way from Australia and Middle East, and Europe and South America. So we have had people from all over the world who would attend remotely. And then the thing is, our classroom, the way it is structured, the way it is designed, the you can see everyone in the class when they ask a question. You can see them, you can interact with them, and then when you ask a question, everyone knows who's asking the question. And really, remote attendees, they are very much a part of the boot camp. And let me see, I think that should be it. So this is the end of the presentation. I am happy to answer if there are any questions. Okay. So regarding the theory versus practice trade-off, um, this is a common question. Um, we do both. We are not going to only dwell on theory. The end goal of this boot camp is to enable you, to empower you, so you can actually build applications. So the really the goal is to ensure that you're able to build applications on your own when you go back. And in terms of how much of a technical knowledge is needed in terms of programming background or um, in terms of machine learning background, you do not need to have a strong background, or for that matter, it may be a controversial statement. I don't think you need to know traditional machine learning, classic machine learning. It can be helpful, but we can compensate for that lack of machine learning or lack of your traditional classic machine learning. That should be manageable. We have seen people who did not have any machine learning background, yet they were able to do a good job in getting that attending the boot camp and being productive. Um, the other question, once again, usually asked is, I mean, do I have to be a dev? No, you don't have to be a dev as long as you are generally in technology. If you are able to make sense out of reading code and you are working and helping and in managing, whether it's a project management or product management type setting, if you are interacting with your data scientist, you can still attend the boot camp. And if you are if you are working on hardcore business applications, you're actually implementing these, definitely this boot camp is for you. Okay. I will give it a few more seconds in case there are any other questions. If not, then we will end our session. Okay, since there are no more questions, I will end the session here. Thank you so much, everyone, for attending, and looking forward to having some of you at the bootcamp.